Okay, so today is Lucia, which is a tradition in Sweden where the young women of the town dress up in these weird white robes, and they vote for Lucia, a girl, and she has candles and stuff, and it goes on in the church. But one of the traditions today is to make Lussebullar. So I'm going to attempt to make the recipe from scratch. You have the recipe on Swedish Freak. What you need is yeast. Usually you should get yeast for sweet doughs. I don't have that, but I think this dry yeast should be enough. You need butter, milk. I have quark cheese, which is like a cream cheese. You should be able to find it worldwide. We found this in where the milks were, milk and cottage cheese section at ICA. Saffron is needed. We got these at ICA as well. Discount. Also, a lot of flour. And later we'll use raisins and eggs, etc. So we'll get started, and first off is to melt the butter and mix it with the milk and heat the milk until touch temperature, until it's warm to the touch. So, and I'm actually going to heat the butter first before pouring in the milk. And then we're also going to put the yeast into a bowl. And if you have the proper yeast, which is the sweet dough yeast, you should crumble it into a bowl. This is just dried yeast, and it's about 50 grams of that. So, yeast is always so freaky looking, because you know it's alive, which kind of freaks me out when I'm cooking with it, but it's okay. So the butter is about 3/5 of a cup. If you cook with grams, it's 150 grams of butter. And then it's 5 dls of milk, which is about 2 cups of milk. So. So now that the milk and butter is warm to the touch, and you don't want it too hot because it's going to kill the yeast, you dump it in with the yeast and mix. And then you want to add the sugar, the quark cheese, and the salt to the mixture. So it's and you also need to add saffron. Quark's cheese is still mixing. Oh, the saffron smells very strongly and is red. And if I should add more flour. I think it's actually okay, it's not too sticky. But I'm a little worried because I have quite a bit of flour left. Thoughts, Swedish person behind the camera? He takes the 5th. Okay, so now that the dough is released from the edges, it's not sticking to the edges, so you can see the bowl, and it's pretty smooth. We're going to let this bad boy sit for 30 minutes, and hopefully I did not kill the yeast, and it will rise. And yes, you should cover it with something so the bugs in your house don't eat it. Timer for
We don't have bugs.
Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, and the yeast has risen. So I didn't kill it. So now, lightly floured surface, and you're going to take this dough and knead it. So the kneading took forever and they're not done, so the next part of the recipe is to split them into 5 bigger pieces. So I split this one, and this is one I haven't worked yet. The kneading isn't finished. It should be smooth and elastic, and if you look at this one, it's kind of just crumbles. These I kneaded like in a pile about this big. I kneaded that, so it's a little bit better, but still not ideal. But I've been kneading for about 30 minutes now, and I'm quite exhausted, so I'm just going to go with it. I don't know if it's because I didn't use all the flour, or if it's the yeast, or what. So you split all your dough into 5 pieces, knead it more if needed, and then split it into 10 smaller pieces, which I've done here. And then basically you roll it into thin, long pieces, and then on a baking sheet you can use probably Pam if you're in America, or butter. I know in Europe we like baking sheets, which is great. I bought these pre-cupped ones. So you just make it into a long, thin shape, and then you roll it into an S, sort of like that, and then you get raisins and put 2 raisins there. So get my raisins out and start rolling all of these. And after you roll it, you have to let them sit again for 30 minutes to rise a second time. So after you make them into the S shape, or 8-figure shape, you put the raisins in, and then you cover it and leave it for 20 minutes for it to hopefully double in size. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, we're back. The timer went off. It's been about 20 minutes, and hopefully these doubled in size. Looks like they got a little bit bigger at least. So now I'm taking egg, and I'm quickly whipping the egg. Egg is somewhat whipped. Throw this in the sink. And then I paint my bullar with egg. Now, we put them in a preheated oven at 225 for about 8 minutes. No, don't film me. Are you recording?
Yes, apparently.
So then you should move them off to cool. And then you can eat them. Those are the finished ones. They're yummy. Yay.